My friends, welcome back. A little bit after hours. If you didn't catch the podcast today, what a disaster. I tried to do the show with the door open and the open sign on because we were still open for business technically. What fun that was. I recommend it. If you're trying to do a live audio video production to do it with the possibility of people coming in. Where did my kid put that mouse? Oh well, we'll figure it out later. We don't need it for this particular one. Back on the bench for another round. Current problem. Chromebook, motherboard. Let's get into this. And why a motherboard, we may be wondering. Why a motherboard? Well, there we go. I didn't need that. The only problem with this, and this is a Samsung Chromebook. It is a Samsung Chromebook 3 500C. So the model is XE500C13-K04US, K04US, I believe, is the designator. Yes, K04US is the model code. There's a model number that's that minus the K04US, and then 500C is the basic designator on the corner of the Samsung sticker. These things were very popular a couple Black Fridays ago and at Christmas, I do believe. What happened is the DC adapter broke off in here, and the guy dug it out and broke his DC jack. And what was wrong with these actual computers is that they have an extremely small, that's the power cord for this Chromebook. It's got that little, and it's got some melted plastic. Aside from that, that's the tip on that. Look at that thing. That is tiny. No wonder they're breaking off. I don't want to call it a problem, but yeah, it was I'm sure quite a few of these broke, and to just take and order a new DC jack and solder it in would be no issue whatsoever. However, as far as I know, you can't really get the DC jacks for these. They didn't release them, but more or less the answer was to sell motherboards. So we went ahead, we called this customer and told him, hey, we can't get your DC jack. In fact, our option is to order a new motherboard, and we're going to get that and put it in for him. And that's what we're doing today. So, Kitty, get ready. We'll let you make this stream. Start by opening this thing the best way we know how, getting all the screws out of the bottom of it. And these are not a bad Chromebook compared to some of the other ones. I mean, they're not as glorious as some of the bigger ones, if they make them bigger. And I think they make 13, 14, maybe even a 15 inch or so. But at the time these came out, these were fairly good. I liked it more than the HP ones. The HP ones had a problem with around the same time frame. I believe a problem with the trackpad. My wife actually has an HP Chromebook. The trackpad quit working on, and then it actually took a fall, and I think it hit off of our baseboard heater and broke the touchscreen, rendering it useless unless you use a mouse. And it's not really, it wasn't a stationary computer, so we're moving on to get a different model here eventually. After pulling those screws out, it should be fairly easy to open. It may unsnap, it may pull off. We're going to check. I think it's an unsnap type. Let's get a thin metal tool to get in at the corner. We want to be careful as we don't want to puncture a battery or damage any other components that might be in there, a Wi-Fi card, the battery, any other things, USB boards. Alright, so we're working our way around, opening this up. I don't know if he had taken this apart to get the DC jack out, like the end of the AC adapter out of the DC jack, or how he did it. He dug it out fairly good, and it broke it. To what degree doesn't matter, because you can't just replace the jack. And we got to go in this side here, so we need to pull this board. Indeed, we do have a match. Looking good. Alright, let's get to it, I suppose. First thing we're going to do is go ahead, get a plastic tool, and work on getting our battery disconnected. Alright, not going to happen. Be careful if you're using metal tweezers. You don't want to touch any metal and short anything out. That's always a concern when working on anything. And it's being fairly tough. We need different tweezers for this job. And they're missing. Let's try pliers. Grabbing this tape, always fun. Capcom tape. Hold that, kitty. What's up, man? Oh, doing this until for future notice. Live on the air. You didn't win any prize.
No prizes?
No prizes. I don't give prizes out. Doing the thing. Alright, that battery disconnected. We're going to move on to disconnecting a few other ribbon cables and whatnot. We have no power to it. Just to verify, we'll open it up and hit our power button, depleting any power left. Got that. The keyboard, we have a display connector and one further ribbon cable that goes over to this daughter board over on the side. And then we'll get our display connector. Is it taped down? No, but it does have a type of release here. And I'm going to carefully use a metal tool to spring the latch on it. And that will not work. We might need this here. Alright, there is a little catch. It springs up. You can kind of see it there. Not great, but it's a little swing gate. Go ahead and get the display cable removed. that. For the podcast, not you people, I'm talking to my amazing co-host Tim here. For the podcast, I got, we're upgrading from our, well, we had a 240 gig that caught on fire internally. We're upgraded from the 240 gig SanDisk, downgraded to 128. We're upgrading from 128 to 500 gig external SSD. So I have an actual external I can carry around on a keychain, whatever. Another SanDisk. I hope it don't light itself on fire. I think we should be alright, but yeah, I'll probably be going up to O-Town to get that. So if I do, I'll swing by and show it to you.
Alright, man.
Have a good one. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for doing the show, man.
Yeah.
Alright, back at the repair. Sorry, I muted there for a second, then it's unmuted. Talking podcast talk. People here. Flat Earth Santa needs to make plans in secret at some point. Do not get on his case about it. So we took the 3 screws out for this shield. Typically when I tear something apart that I'm not familiar with, and it's not something I've torn apart a bunch of, I take the screws out and place them kind of where they go around the device. Or whatever part it is, I put them around that part. So we're going to be placing these screws roughly where they go around our replacement motherboard, and then we'll pull this board out of the machine here, set it, pull this out, set the new one in, set this where the screws are, so we have reference to where they go. They don't seem to be a different length, and if they're not, it don't matter whether you mix them up or not. They usually don't use different threaded screws these days in laptops. They will use different sizes, which you can have different size, different shanks, different threadings, whatnot, then if they're different size, but when they're all the same, they're typically all the same thread pattern, not just the same size screw. So years ago, it was a nightmare tearing into the laptops that had like a Pentium 1, Pentium 2, Pentium 3 processor in them. Awful, awful things to work on. Like, regretful. You tear, I took too many of those apart. Too many. Okay, so it seems we're fairly loose. We can pull our motherboard, maybe. We've got to get it up off of the metal tray here, or the metal bracing for the frame. That's our one with our bad jack. Let's inspect that. He did pull the internals out of that thing. I suppose if I get close enough, maybe it'll focus. Nah, not quite. Okay. It always tries. It's like good sentiment that my camera tries to focus. Let's compare the two. You should be able to tell a difference just by looking at them. Perhaps one is missing all the black plastic out of it. He dug most of that out. And then the center pin got broken. So yeah, we'll go ahead and throw this in. I believe these are identical boards. The only thing that I could foresee being different, we could probably compare, maybe lift the little integrated heat spreader here and see. I think they're either going to be the same or have a different size NAND chip on it for the solid state, what they call a solid state drive. It's NAND chip. It's not an SSD. All right, so let's set the old busted motherboard with no swagger. We'll pull that one out, and we'll try and set this new one in. We have a few ribbon cables to keep out of our path. Actually, some tape would help here. Let's go ahead and rotate this one into place. We have whatever that is, keyboard or whatnot. We can pull out our display cable. We do have another ribbon cable here, and also your speaker wire, what appears to be the speaker wire there. We have that one, this ribbon cable on the end, and then your power for your battery. Other than that, there should be no connections. I don't see any. everything is looking pretty good there. We'll attach that down here in a little bit. For now, we'll go ahead and put the screws to it. That's a popular saying my dad used to use. Try hard to help them, they put the screws to me. Screwing somebody over, I guess, was the statement there. Or somebody screwed you over. One of the two, I don't know. Did that really go there? That doesn't seem like it's the case. But it did grab. Alright, I can dig it. I like it. What else? So one here, and then one there. Oh yeah, okay, I see it. Just like a typical PC motherboard that has the white triangles, the little white triangles pointing to where the screws go in. This has actual little copper colored arrows, so I guess follow those if you're doing this type of work for yourself. And that will show you where to put stuff in. With those all back in, let's go ahead and put our little copper plate back on. This is directional how it goes in. Your screw holes will line up, and it kind of latches to a certain extent. Under the edge here there is a spot for it to latch in, but it appears that part of the frame is broken, so we're going to, not broken, it's bent. We're going to try and bend it back up without doing much damage to anything else. We do need this little steel plate or tin plate to mount here and hold in our parts, hold our motherboard down. So that is almost going under. We got it there. What about this end? Doesn't look like it's the case. We have our DC jack, and that popped, everything popped in except one. We have one more little latch that's not where it needs to be. Let's attempt to take this back out and see. Oh my, yes. There's another spot bent that could potentially go in. I'm going to take a closer look at it. Actually appears to be bent, like fairly bent and broken off. Maybe he did take this apart, I don't know. It didn't appear that it had been tampered with at all. Like, not tampered, that sounds bad. Like it had been torn apart, but perhaps. All I know is the little spots that are supposed to latch in are very difficult from it being ripped apart. Or at least poked and prodded at and pried on. The ports do not line up 100%. And that went in almost too good. It snapped under every little piece it was supposed to, and that will support the corner of our motherboard. Everything is right with this universe at least. Let's put our last few screws in and connect all our ribbon cables and other connections. As a little bit of filler material, we have an update on the MacBook Air. It's over here. Remember, we tried the adapters that I had to interface with the hard drive, and none of them worked. which was we have an external M.2 adapter that'll handle many different sizes, and then we have the two for the MacBook. We have the 2012, the 8 plus 18 pin, which is the Mac Air 2012 MacBook Pro Retina Air adapter, and then our other one, we have the 8 plus 12, we have the 6 plus 12, which is the 2010 to 2011. So there's still two more adapters that we need. We're getting one of them, and then we'll leave one final one to buy, and we're covered for most MacBook drives, and after that they're just soldered in. So yeah, so when that comes in, that should be here Wednesday. We can get back on that job, finish that up. It's on hold for the time being. We are going to de-dust, clean that case up a little too. That being said, let's get back to it. Get the last few things put together. We have a ribbon cable here to go in. And we have this one. If you're not familiar with doing these parts and you're trying to get familiar, these ribbon cables do have these little, usually it's a blue connector, sometimes there are other colors that you can take and grab hold of, and they have a little, like a little keyed shape to it where it sticks out, and you can see when it's lined up in the connector properly. Then snap your latches down. Don't pry on these too hard. They will break out easily, and that is a headache you do not want. The idea here is to get this thing, we're making it great again, right? That's the whole goal. We want it to charge up through the jack with the cable. So, one final thing, we have the display connector, and then we'll reconnect our battery and put the bottom on. So yeah, if you are one of the people that has a Samsung Chromebook 3, the 500C or XE500C 13-K04 US model, and you've broken DC jack, and you're driving yourself crazy, just absolutely insane, trying to find that DC jack. Maybe you'll find it. Maybe somebody will offer it. Maybe it goes under a different part number from a different manufacturer, not even associated with this model. I don't know. But if you can't find it, look for the motherboard. They are getting fewer and far in between. So supplies of people that have them probably won't last forever. But as of now, the motherboard was relatively easy to find. It's not a hard repair. This would be a beginner level repair on something. Just take your time if you're not familiar with it, and you should be all good. Everything seems good there. Now, this board, this customer will have to sign in with his Gmail because we did change the board out. We're not going to go through the extensive pain of heating up and changing over the NAND chip. That is beyond the level of repair that we typically do at the shop. We do have a hot air gun, but I am not well versed or even slightly experienced in changing over BGA chips, but not to where if it was my own stuff, I would experiment on it. And I wish I had more stuff that I could experiment on to hopefully try and improve my skill set with it, but it's just not something I've done to any length at the current point in time. Let's go ahead and get our broom. We're going to broom off the inside of this case. Anyhow, it's slightly better. Let's put this on, and then we'll try, before we run through putting all these screws on, we will attempt the charge and see what happens with it. Okay, get that out of our way. We'll plug in our charger. We should. DC jack lines up nice. We can plug that in. We do get a light. When we unplug it, light goes out. Here's our light. You'll see our light go orange, like an orange red. And then it went blue the last time. I don't know what that was about. Hopefully everything works. We do have power. The battery is depleted, so not charging yet. It wasn't clicked in. Okay, so we have the red light. We are charging. So it would seem, I guess it can't power it off a completely dead battery. Would that make sense? Alright, we have blue. Alright, blue light means it's on. Red light, I guess, would be off and charging. With the adapter in, it will power on. And because we can, let's check the HDMI connection to my repair scene for OBS. And it duplicates it. Extending the screen. Let's pick a different option. Sure, we'll go to dtcomp 5. Connect it up. Continue. Accept and continue. Chrome updates automatically. You're not seeing it yet, but you will. I'm trying to get in. It's extending the screen to the cam link, not what I'm attempting to do. I would like settings to where I could mirror the screen. So amazing that it even caught it right off the bat. Right now it's doing an update, a Chrome update. So I guess for the Chrome OS, we're at 1%, 145 until full. So it shows in the software that it is charging as of right now. I can't show you. I wish I could. It's not letting me do anything as far as what we're doing screen-wise. What is this? So the output, instead of the speaker, it's going to the cam link, and then the microphone is still working. What a shame. We can't show you anything on screen yet. We'll let the Chrome update download. We got a lot going on. Hopefully the stream wasn't stuttery and buffering and being all stuttering. I am currently uploading a video through Edge to YouTube, to the podcast channel. I missed uploading episode 79 last week. I got to it this week, which is funny. It's actually going to publish after episode 80, so I'll have to rearrange those. Is that what's up? Oh, Edge. Okay, Edge blocked OBS. I was trying to see what was broadcasting. It's back. It's charging. It's good for now. I think I'm going to call that good. 148. We're not getting... The time's not dropping. I'd like to see it drop a little. Of course, we're stressing out the hardware of said Chromebook right now. Let's go ahead and lay this on its back. 2%. We just made it. And it went back to 1. So let's lay it on its back. We got about 2 minutes until this update finishes. We're going to put our screws back into the bottom. while that's going about what it's doing. I love messing with people. I just sent a gag text message to Dad, to the boss. Gotta harass him. Gotta harass him while he's doing his projects out there in the real world. Out here in the free world. Alright, Chromebook is quickly going all the way back together. Getting a little sturdier. Each screw I put in, mounting this bottom piece on. Less than a minute left for this Chrome update. Alright, screws in, not affecting your keyboard button. That's one thing you can check when you're working on laptops and you put screws in that do have slightly different lengths to them. Some Toshibas are like that. More and more they're becoming where they're all the same length. For the outside, the inside may be different, but all the internal ones that go through the top case into the bottom case will be the same length, if different from the outside. And you know, have ones that hold the motherboard down, they're the same length probably as the outside ones, or in between the two maybe. More and more the design's getting better where that is the case. But if you ever are tightening screws in when under a keyboard, check the opposite side when going through the bottom with the screw. Check if there's keys on top of it, make sure those keys work where that screw is, because if you put one in that's too long, it may go up and hit the bottom of the keyboard and affect how your keyboard works. Alright, our Chromebook has restarted. We're checking all the screws. Oh, what a disaster day, that podcast. It's a great live stream, great conversation when I got to have it and not handle people coming in. But like I said, when you're open for business, you gotta handle that too. Okay, so now it's the time where we would sign into the Chromebook. Perhaps let's browse as a guest. Let's do that. Can you do it without any account on the machine? That would be great. That would be an awesome thing. We're browsing as a guest. Give us access to some settings. Can we mirror internal display? So we don't want the extended desktop, we want mirrored. Let's do that. And we'll bring up the repair, and finally you can see what I'm dealing with here. We got a Chromebook. If you're not sure what a Chromebook is, this is it. You have your browser as an operating system with some other basic functionality where you hit this little circle. In the bottom left, you'll get a pop-up. You can access actual files stored on the hard drive. You may not have a lot of room, but it's specifically made to, what do I want to call it? Access stuff in the cloud through your Google account or through online accounts if you have Dropbox or you use your Google Drive, Google Photos, any of that. It's an online device. True, you can use them offline, and there's even some other stuff that they do with like streaming services and whatnot. Like, they're making breakthroughs. I know they finally made a Chrome extension that you can install if you, I think it's for sale and you buy it. and it lets you torrent if you're into downloading torrents, which hopefully you're not doing anything illegal if you are. Another thing, another Chrome extension, oh, yes, another Chrome extension would be something that I myself do, and I do it on the computer with an app. Let's go ahead and open this up quick. Ooh, I am buffering on YouTube. Alright, it came back to life. I apologize. So and I'll show you my display here in a second after the app loads. Let's take a look-see. So if, like me, you're into editing audio, which I do indeed do for the podcast, I'll go ahead and throw this up on screen and open the most recent session. File, open, bring up the SSD, audition folder, 79, 79 session. This is last week's episode. It's about done, but here it is. Let's look at the multi-track. So if, like me, you're into editing audio, now I can't promise you it's going to be as fully featured, but I have my track here, this top one, and we have Tim's track where he speaks, which I happen to be the one speaking with a little bit from him, and then we have our audio track. If you're into editing multi-track audio like this, I can't promise you it's going to be a great interface, but you can now close that. You can now Chrome extension. Am I typing it right? Edit audio in Chrome. Audio editor, I believe. Did I spell that right? Audio editor, music editor, audio studio for Chrome. Let's see what it's about. See what it looks like. It would appear that it's a very simple interface, kind of like, more or less like one track in Audacity. Will it do multi-track? I don't know. You would have to read into that. But they got a Chrome extension where you can edit audio now. If you can't afford like the Adobe Creative Cloud or any of the other ones that are pay, there are free ones, Audacity and whatnot. But the fact that you can take, and is it going to be fast and like a high-end computer when you're using Audition, this interface here on a Chromebook, I don't know. Let's look though. Let's try this. Let's try it. Let's see what there is. Chrome files, get help. Where is the web store? I'm guessing there's another update. Chrome Web Store, there we go. I thought there should be a link to it, but I could be wrong. Let's look it up. Audio editor. Let's see what they have to offer. So audio editor, online Audacity with Telegram. So that's Audacity if you're familiar with that interface. Audio editor and music editor, audio studio. I don't think there's much below that. Let's take a look. There could be. I could be wrong. Online audio editor, beautiful audio editor, web media center. All right, Twisted Wave. Starting to get into sketchy environment down there. Unwanted real estate with some of those. I'd say one of these two are going to be your better bet. Maybe even. Maybe that web media. I don't know. I'm not promising nothing. But these two look promising if you want something free and you're trying to do a podcast or edit audio for whatever type of recording, and you want to do it on a Chromebook, there's your option. So it's a good time to be alive. Amazing. Are these all powerful, all doing machines? No, not by a long shot. It's an online type thing. That's what you're going to use it for. That's primarily where you want to keep it. Years ago, though, you couldn't do it. No audio editing, no downloading torrents, and you can get free software and all kinds of free ebooks and many other free things with torrents. Linux distributions, which Linux is free and open source for most distros out there. Some do charge, but they're not charging for the distro, they're charging for their support. And so I got probably some proprietary driver support, who knows what. Yeah. And there you have it. Awesome. Chromebook working. Let's check the charge. See what we're up to. We'll take the brightness down. So 10% now. An hour and 34 minutes till full. Let's dim it down. We're going to take it very low. That is, it's still bright for you. But it's not bright out here in the real world. This is what it looks like. Here, you can barely see that. So that is fairly dim. Do we have one more setting? One more we can go. There we go. I think that's about maxed down other than off. Can't even see it. So, be able to use this in near darkness and not strain your eyes. Or use it out in the daylight. It's a matte screen, should be able to see. They're handy devices is the main point. So, if you're hesitant about getting one, don't hold your expectations super high. You can do a lot, but you can't do everything that you can with a laptop or a desktop computer or even a Mac, like a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. You're not going to do everything you can do with those, but very good for an online experience. And if you don't, if you keep your stuff in the cloud with Google, with Dropbox, wherever, emailing, watching YouTube videos, Chromebooks work for it. That was the repair on the Samsung Chromebook 3 XE500C 13-K04 US model, 500C designator on the sticker. It's charging. We'll call this guy, let him know. 2 thumbs up. We made your Chromebook great again. You should dig it. Alright, people, thank you for hanging out with me. It is time for me to get out of here. I'm going to go do something. Finish this podcast episode for you audio listeners that are out there. Tim and I appreciate you. Thank you for listening, watching. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's one of those. Try and fix something, help somebody else fix something if you have the know-how.